Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. We are back. Well, three of us are back. Welcome back to FPL Fat Pod Lads Extra Time, episode 13. After a little break, three of us have decided to grace you with our presence again. So I'll get right about it. Bugden, how are you, mate?
Good, and you?
Oh yeah, all good, mate. All good. Had a nice little break, have we?
Can't complain.
See, you've grown a bit of a beard in these 3 weeks.
The stress is
Kids, mate, losing more hair on your head.
FPL, not you, honey.
Indy, obviously not been the best of seasons for you, but thank you for joining us and coming back again. You know, I'll talk on you a little bit in a little while, but how are we doing, mate? We all good?
I've got very thick skin, not to worry. I will always be here.
You need a thick skin. You do need a thick skin to kind of get to where you've been. So it hasn't been great, but there's been a bit of an announcement today. Obviously, the mystery chip, as it is, has been revealed. So I want to talk a little bit about that before we talk about how our teams are getting on. So it's called an assistant manager chip, and from what I understand, basically you pick a manager who will be your assistant and gain you points if that manager wins or something along those lines. Indy, what do you know about it? What's your kind of thoughts on it? You know, let's hear from you about it, mate.
So I don't know much about it because I've only had the discussions as to what we've had in our group earlier today. But I think it basically plays on the fact that if you choose a team that's quite high up in the league, so like a Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, would be the usual suspects with Chelsea, for example, and their manager, so Maresca, Pep, Slot, win matches, then you get points for those. And if they get clean sheets, you get points for those. I get the idea behind it, but it's based over a 3-week period. And so I don't really understand how that really works and why they waited for it to come out in the second half of the season. Because in real terms, we'll have missed out on half the season, which means that you've got that much less games for it to be useful for. I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's just a little bit gimmicky, and it seems a little bit kind of they've got the mystery chip, and then they thought, oh, we've said mystery chip, now we need to do something that's a bit mystery, and it just seems a bit silly, to be honest. It doesn't really look like it was thought out properly. I'd have preferred if you just deleted your team and then you could replace it with somebody else's.
Start again, so no one knows about your season, pretty much.
Yeah. Just ignore it. Just delete it from history.
So, from what we know, if you, let's say, for example, you pick, I don't know, Ipswich manager Kieran McKenna, you can gain more points by picking a lower manager. Is that right? Because if that's the case, I'm picking Ange.
So you've got to pick a team that is going to win 3 games, basically. So you might want to pick an Ipswich, for example, if they're playing a West Ham and they're playing, I don't know, Bournemouth and somebody else, and you might think, oh, actually, they're better off than, say, a Pep who's got to play Liverpool, Tottenham, and Arsenal. Not only based on clean sheets, it's based on those 3 games. So it feels a little bit odd. It just does feel a bit odd.
It's quite gimmicky, isn't it? In the fact that, like, I mean, if you pick the right manager, you can gain 40, 50 points on the team above you, but it's a bit shit. I'm going to say it. It's not great, isn't it?
It's got nothing to do with your fantasy team at all.
Yeah, I don't really get it. If, like, Bud, coming to you, mate, what do you think about it? What do you make of the chip? Do you think it's worth?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't looked at the group chat today, so I don't know what you're all about.
Right. So basically, they've announced the mystery chip. If you don't know, so the mystery chip pretty much is going to be that after game week 24, I believe, you can pick a assistant manager, as they call it, to pretty much try and gain you extra points. I think for every win, you get 3 points. Every draw is a point. Is that right, Ind? That sound about right?
Yeah.
You still there?
If he wants to answer, yeah.
I don't know if he's muted himself. Let's have a look.
Yeah. Sorry, I muted myself because apparently I've got a little bit of.
You actually don't. You've got no feedback now, mate. So you're good. You can keep yourself unmuted. But is that right? You kind of get. How do you get points from it? Is it?
So I don't know exactly, but I think you get something like 5 for a win, probably 2 for a draw and 0 for a loss. But then for every clean sheet, you get a top up of points. So imagine you can get anywhere to between 0 and 15 points for a win, a clean sheet, and probably scoring as well. And then if you do that 3 times in the 3-game period, you could get 45 points, where somebody else might choose, I don't know, and they won't keep a clean sheet, they won't win, and you'll be, as if it never happened.
And do you get, like, obviously none of us really know too much, but if you pick, say, for example, Arne Slot, obviously that's Liverpool, so they're higher up in the table. Is it you get more points for picking the lower ranked managers? Am I reading into that right?
That part of it I don't know. I'm just basing it on what Russ said in the group earlier.
Yeah, I'm gonna read about it really quickly. I'm gonna read out to everybody watching in the chat just to see what's
it might be worth bringing up what he said actually. Yeah,
I'm just gonna see if I can pull up the images. It's a shame because he's not here because he might be able to tell us a little bit more because he's read it. Here we go. So here we go. Assistant manager chip. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this image and I'm gonna upload it.
So the details are that the chip becomes playable from game week 24, and it's for 3 successive game weeks. And your assistant manager will get you 6 points for each win, 3 for a draw, and 2 for a clean sheet, and 1 point for every goal. So if you pick a team that's just going to smash, so let's say Prime Man City, where they win 6-0, 7-0 every week, you're going to end up earning quite a lot of points. You'll get, say, 6 or 7 for the goals. You'll get 2 for the clean sheet, so 8, and then you'll get 6 for the win. So basically, 14, 15 points.
So here's one. So you soon be able to pick one of the Premier League's 20 managers to help you earn points. So pretty much they become your assistant manager. See, I read into this wrong the first time I looked at it, but the second part, pretty much where it says this bit here, you get 6 points for each win. That's what you've just said, Hind. But what I found quite interesting, and this is a bit I didn't quite make sense, and annoyingly, I'm not going to be able to get it all on the screen, but it basically says that you get, obviously, it may seem like a good idea to pick Arne Slot, but if you pick a lower ranked manager who faces a club ranked 5 places higher, so if you pick Ipswich, for example, and they're playing, I don't know, Tottenham, and they turn Tottenham over, you get an extra 10 points. You get 16 points in total just for that one game. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I think it's gimmicky. I don't like it. I liked your idea, Hindi, that you said in the chat earlier on, where you said about the super sub kind of thing, choosing a player from your bench to come in and replace them as a super sub. I like that idea. I like the all-out attack idea. Do you, obviously, now you've heard a bit about it, Bug, do you like it? Do you think it sounds good? Is it a waste of time?
I think waste of time. Let's be honest, there's no team at the moment that is guaranteed to get you all these points. If I did it, I'd go for Everton.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to do it at some point.
Exactly. I mean, I'll look at Everton's games because obviously, like in Brexit football coming at some point, 0-0s, everyone's above Everton.
Yeah, they're going to want to stay up, aren't they? So it's going to be them, top, low blocks, that kind of stuff. But let's move on to actually why we're actually here. Thank you for people that have tuned in so far. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I don't know if Russ is coming or not coming, but I want to get into our teams a little bit. Hindi, actually, first I'm going to put up the league table because Hindi, you are slowly making ground, mate. I know you are still bottom, but you are still making up ground.
No, he's not. No, he's
not.
Is,
mate. He is only 31 points behind you now.
To be fair, I would agree with Bugton. I have like one good week, one bad week, and basically it's just cancelled each other out. I'm still basically 30 odd behind bottom.
Yeah, so
if you look at this month, he has the least amount of points. I've had the top, so he's not grading down.
But we're very early on in December, Bug. That's what you got to remember. We're still, what about in November? What's November's stats? Pull them up and send them over.
He was bottom and I was third.
Who was top?
That was, I think, it might be you.
No, surely it was Russ. Surely.
No, I've slowly. It's what I said. Slowly, I'm creeping.
I would get it up, but I'll end up logging off. But it is literally, Indy's been bottom 3 of the 4 months.
How do we? How do I find it, Bug? I'm guessing it's on the actual website because I actually want to see this. I'm quite intrigued by this.
Right.
You
So
go to the fantasy page.
you go to the league,
Yep.
and then
Go
it
log in.
should show you. It says overall in a down box, and you can pick it by month.
Let me just log in quickly if I can remember my password. I can't remember my login.
Mine ain't loaded up because it's obviously taking too much to be streaming. But you literally go to the league, and then you at the top of the table it will say overall, and you can pick it by month.
Okay, let's see if I can get it up on there. Yeah, because what I've noticed is that I've slowly been making up a little bit of ground in the background, just ever so slightly, not too. I haven't been too loud. I haven't been too. Yeah, I can't even get in, mate. So I don't even care right now. But I can't remember my password. But yeah, so pretty much I've slowly been making up ground. I'm now only 18 points behind Rossi, if my maths are correct. Maybe a bit less than that. So I'm slowly making up ground on second. Russ has kind of slowed down a little bit, I've noticed in the last few weeks, but he's got himself a pretty big lead. So he's well out there. He can afford to make those mistakes. He can afford to mess up a little bit. Bugden, obviously, I overtook you.
Yeah, I've got them up now. So August, I was top, Henry was bottom.
Yep.
September, Russ was top, Henry was bottom.
I'm getting a feeling here that I'm going to be bottom a lot.
No. October, Russ was top and Dave was bottom.
Yep.
November, Russ was top, Henry was bottom. And December, I'm top and Rossi's bottom.
Okay, so yeah, we're only 11 days in December, mate.
Yeah, we're only 11 days in, so that's been like 2 game weeks.
I'm still top.
That's definitely going to change a little bit. I'm still top. Take it while you can. But yeah, I mean, look, Indy, we are approaching Christmas, mate. When we started this podcast, you said 64 points a week is pretty much where you want to be. You think that's what you should be scoring. Do you have any idea? Obviously, you're at 800 points now. We're at game week 15 game weeks. So I'm going to do my maths quickly. 800 divided by 15. You're averaging 53 points. 53.3 points. So you're well below average, but
I'm 10 below average. But that's in my mind means that for the remainder of the season, I need to be getting closer to 70 to even it out.
Well, when you do look at it, the only person, but none of us are at that 64 point mark. Russ is only at 61 points a week. He's averaging 61 points a week, and then obviously we get back to Rossi, who's in second, who's only just in front of me. He's on 50, averaging 57 points a week. Me, I'm only 56 points a week, and then he goes down even further to you boys. So, like I said to you, I still think it's all to play for. I don't think Russ has got a lead that's unattainable. I generally think that we're all going to have drop-offs, and I generally think we could catch him. But let's pull up the teams from this week. I'm going to start with Hindi because we are talking about his team. So this week you had a very good week, mate. Talk us through it.
Well, like I said, I want to get 70 points a week now, average, and hey ho, that's what I got. I could have got considerably more if I had Palmer captain, but I thought, you know what, with the Everton game being cancelled, and I was hoping that you guys would keep Salah in your teams, and it might mess you up. In the end, you can't really get rid of him but what it has done is wasted £14 million on effectively a player that you couldn't utilise. So I think generally I should have been the top scorer anyway, and that's followed through. It helped that Haaland banged. But I got points from multiple places. Lewis was good. Martinez is good. I'm not happy with Mazraoui and Digne. Digne seems to not be starting at the moment, so he's probably got to go. Saka I'm always happy with. Palmer I'm always happy with. Buemo, Wisa, Haaland. I noted that Haaland had 8 points halfway through Sunday, and then all of a sudden got put down to 7. It's just the things that are happening at the moment. So I should have had 72. But look, if I lose by 2 points, I'll put it down to that at the end of the season.
It'll be another Saka to Gabriel moment, won't it?
Exactly.
As it was for you.
It's the fantasy gods that just hate me.
It's interesting because, like, obviously this is our first season doing this show. It's kind of like the first season that you've had eyes on you, where people are, watching what you're doing. And what I've noticed about
When we say eyes, there's two, and his name's Jay. Otherwise, there's nothing different.
well, even 2 extra eyes, you're feeling that pressure. Your sphincter's kind of giving it a little bit, isn't it? So what I've noticed about you, and one thing I've noticed that you've been doing this season is something that you've never really done, and that's changing a lot. One thing you've always been quite consistent with is keeping a solid team, a foundation, and a base. But what I've noticed is you're making transfers like late. You're making decisions late.
Yeah, I mean, this season though, with the 5 subs, it's become more and more difficult to understand exactly what a team's going to do. Every team seems to have a squad of about 18 potential starters, where it used to be they'd have about 12 or 13 potential starters. But everyone's squad size has drastically got bigger. It's almost like every manager is now Pep Roulette, and that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Like Aston Villa are changing Digne to Matson, Konsa for Diego Carlos, Pau Torres for Tyrone Mings, and then you've got Konsa in there. It's just a joke. It's getting beyond normal. Even there's been a few injuries. The only one that's been probably consistent is Arteta, but where his defence has had so many injuries, you haven't even had a set defence there either.
Yeah. No, that does make it interesting, and we did say that before, that the five subs could come into play. Obviously, you are one of the people. I've stuck with him as well. That stuck with Haaland. Everybody seems to have got rid of him. The only thing I did was work to get Salah in as well. Based on Haaland, are you kind of sticking with that process and trusting the fact that the goals are going to start coming again?
Yeah, look, the one thing we know is that he'll score goals. He's still the top scorer. So all it means is the stuff that he did right at the beginning is still more than what everybody else has managed thus far. The difficulty is that he's a striker, so you get less points per goal than, say, a Salah. And Salah's had about 5 penalties the last few weeks. You take those away, and there isn't much difference between them, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange one. Bug, I'm going to come to you next, mate, because obviously the last few weeks you've dropped a position, you've dropped below me. You made some ground up this week, but let's pull up this team. If we look at this from back to front, obviously 60 points, according to Hindi, it's below average. But talk me through this. What went right for you this week? What went wrong?
What went wrong for me is I haven't picked the correct captain since game week 3. So the last one I picked was Haaland when he bagged Brighton assist. Since then, I've literally been getting 4 points. I'm getting 4 points every time. I may get lucky and have an 8 from an assist, but that's my biggest downfall. If I start picking the right captain, I'll be up in second, fighting for first.
Hello, that's a big shout.
I would say that. I would honestly. You think if I'm doubling Embuemos, I'm doubling Palmer's. Rossi's picked the right captain every time.
Yeah, Russ has been the captain man this year, hasn't he? Obviously, he's had loads of good points.
And that's the difference. That's been the difference, is he's been picking the right captain.
The hardest thing I see in your team will be like differentials from the people above you. Obviously, I don't have Palmer and Saka, but obviously I'm going to get one of them back in. But when you look at your midfield, Rossi's got Rodgers, everyone's got Mbumo, most of you have got Palmer, most of you have got Saka. It's where to find those differentials. You made a good change when you put Wissa in a couple of weeks ago. Estepinian is probably the best one that I can see for you at the moment. Have you got your eye on anyone that you're thinking, okay, nobody's really going to put them in, and that could be a chance for me to creep my way back up the league?
I've done my sub for next week.
Okay.
Already. I've got rid of a defender because I've got 2
injured
defenders. No, not Lewis. I've got 2 injured defenders. Well, Lewis and Keane are both injured. So it's Estupiñán, Mazaral, and I put Cash in for this week because it was Southampton.
Yeah.
He got no minutes, so they got a clean sheet and he didn't even play. So I think I've got rid of Cash. No, I haven't got rid of Cash. Who did I get rid of? I got rid of Mazraoui. And I put in a Newcastle defender.
Yeah.
Because I think they've got a decent run of games.
So Lewis Hall, obviously coming into your team?
No.
No, no. Okay, I'm not going to try and guess anymore.
I think
I'd have
it's
guessed it.
Tino Livramento.
Oh, that's a
No,
good
no,
shout, actually.
no.
Or he's
I've
got,
gone.
or Dan Burn or something like that.
No, I've gone centre back. I've gone the expensive one.
Oh, Fabian Schär.
Yeah.
See, Fabian Schär last year was really good. He got a lot of decent points, but Newcastle are so hit and miss
He's a good
this
goal
year.
scoring defender. He's a good goal
Yeah,
scoring defender.
yeah, they're so hit and miss this year. So, like I said to you, it's Schär is a good differential for you. Estepinian obviously being a good differential. Up front, we're all kind of looking the same. Obviously, you got no Haaland, but you got no Salah either.
That's because he was on the bench, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, of course he got dropped out.
Yeah.
So you do have Salah, so you're fine in terms of your midfield then.
Yeah, I think rather than having Haaland, I'm only affording 1 or 2 premium players. I'm keeping the 3 premium. You know, the Saka,
Yeah,
Palmer, Salah.
yeah. See, that's kind of it for me as well. Like I've got to look to get Saka or Palmer back in because Palmer before Palmer scored his double against Tottenham, I was winning the week by miles. I was well ahead. As soon as he got two against Tottenham, it jumped everyone up the league massively, and I suffered because I didn't have him. Not having my vice captain choice was Nicholas Jackson. That was a poor choice in the end because it only got me 4 points. But I've got my eyes set on Rossi. I'm creeping up very slowly behind him, so I will pull up my team very quickly. So obviously, looking at this when it loads up, here we go. 50 points this week. My biggest talking points was my defence. I got quite a few points from defence, even though there wasn't many clean sheets there. Nori getting an assist, Pedro Porro getting an assist, Munoz getting a goal. So that's kind of helped me quite a lot this week. My sub for Salah was Brennan Johnson. He got me 4 points as well. But again, I'm struggling across the board, and this is why I'm looking like I've got to try and get a Palmer or a Saka into here. If I can fit them in with the funds available, then that's kind of what I'm going to be looking to do. But look, I'm happy, I'm comfortable. I've kind of come back from my less than 30-point weeks over the last few weeks. I did a free hit a couple of weeks ago, that got me 70 points, so I was quite comfortable with that. But yeah, looking at my team, Hind, what do you think I should be looking to change?
Kluivert's, I know he got 2 penalties and got a hat trick that 1 week. But in
He's
real
a penalty
terms,
taker, though, isn't he?
he hasn't. Yeah, but he hasn't done much, and I don't think he's their actual starter. He might be their best penalty taker, but that Utara scored and got an assist when he came on this week. Semenyo's the main guy. Evan Nielsen plays up top and seems like a bit of a good little player, hence why I put him in. But yeah, I mean, like Strand Larsen again. Wolves don't really create much, and if they do, it's generally through Cunha. So that was an odd pick in my mind. The one that picked the right Wolves player was Rossi, and he made loads of points on everybody for that reason, and that was a good choice. I like Jackson. I like Embuemo. Rodgers is your premium pick. I think Johnson's done really well for you, but Kluivert I don't think is a long term pick.
So I'll tell you what my plan is this week. So I've got 2 free transfers. I am going to take out 2 to get Palmer or Saka in yet. I'm not sure which one, depending on fixtures. To get either Palmer or Saka in. So I do have to take out 2 players of a decent value.
But on that basis, you're going to have to take out Haaland because he's the only one that gets you the money for them.
Well, we'll see. It's something I've got to do some work around, do some maths around to see if it's possible. It all depends, doesn't it? I don't know what even the values are now because I've got 2 million in the bank as well, so that helps quite a bit. But it's something I've got to look to do. I've got to look to try and get Palmer or Saka in because I'm losing so much points based on the fact that I don't have them. So it is interesting. It's an interesting one, but we'll see.
I wouldn't advise you to get in Palmer and Saka to try.
No, it'll be one of them. I think mainly just so I can keep the points up.
You're better off if that's the case going for a cheaper alternative of an Arsenal player and just hope the likes of a Martinelli or a Trossard or a Havertz or one of the others other than them, or an Odegaard, for example, bang and get a goal, get an assist, get the 3 bonus, and do it that way because you're equally as likely for Saka not to bang or Cole Palmer not to bang and actually one of the others get the points. You're better off doing something like that and trying to capitalise that way and copy what everyone else has done, because all you're really doing is just matching up with everyone.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and that does make sense. It's an interesting one. It's something I'll do some thinking about. We've got some people in the chat, so let's have a look who's in here. We've got Jay. Good evening. Well done, Jay. Welcome back, mate. He scored 72 points this week.
Number one fan, that guy.
Yeah, 72 points this week. That's a big score, Jay. So good work on that. That's more than all of us. That's more than all of us got. He said, "Do we all think that Dragusin is better than Romero now?" Sorry, not FPL related. No, we don't talk Tottenham because they're shit. And I let out all my frustration on Sunday's show when I had 20 minutes on my own to talk about Tottenham, which was fun. But yeah, 72 points is a good score. But like I said, I've got to try and do something to make up some ground. I've got to try and find a differential somewhere along the line. So that's kind of what I'm going to be working towards, even if I get in a premium player and then get an asset for the bench that doesn't really play much. But we'll see. Indy, have you got any transfer plans that you want to let us in on? You got any free transfers? Anything you're thinking about?
I've got a free transfer to make. I've got a bit of an issue because Rico Lewis got sent off, so he's banned now. So the chances are that either him or Alex Moreno come out this week. So I've got an extra player in the team. Alex Moreno seems to not be in plans at the moment, and I think Forest play Villa, and Alex Moreno's parent club is Villa, so he's out as well this week. So I've got to think about who I want as an alternative. I'll have a look at the fixtures, but I'll wait until the Champions League games are through and maybe have a look at the team news on Friday before I make a decision. I don't, even if there is price changes in the offing, my worry is that there's always a chance that somebody gets injured. And I'd much rather not lose out on points or spend the points if I don't have to. So I'd be inclined to suggest to wait till Friday team news comes out and then have a bit of an informed decision. I think if I make it early, the worry is that somebody could get injured in midweek, and that could be an easy way of picking up points on my rivals.
See, when you look at it, it's quite interesting because Arsenal's next three fixtures are Everton at home, Palace away, Ipswich at home. Like, in that sense, that screams target Arsenal, because Everton at home and Ipswich at home, they should realistically be scoring quite freely against both of those teams. Everton are so hit and miss. So it's an interesting one. But then you look at Newcastle, for example, they've got Leicester and Ipswich in the next three as well. So it's one of them ones where you've got to try and find that balance of who's going to pick up points that other people in your mini leagues aren't going to have or aren't going to go for. So that's Bugden, like I said, you did well with that with Wissa a few weeks ago.
I'd argue there, Dave. I'd say actually the fixtures that Arsenal have got, I'm not sure lend themselves very well to Arsenal. I agree with the Newcastle one because those defences aren't very good that they're playing against. But Arsenal are playing, and I appreciate Ipswich are playing both. But defensively, Everton and Ipswich are quite solid defensively. The issue is if they concede early, because then they have to come and play. But they're also the kind of teams that will just sit in against Arsenal because they're not expected to win and maybe really stifle Arsenal.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. It's like finding that differential. Like I was also looking at Jarrod Bowen. He seems to be picking up points lately. He's West Ham's main man. He's a penalty taker. So trying to find that person who's going to allow you to make up ground, because it is a risk, because if it doesn't pay off and the player...
I've heard Mikel Antonio might have a good run in the team.
I was hoping his running is better than his driving skills anyway, put it that way. Bug, anyone that you can think of, obviously, in terms of differentials that you're thinking, like, obviously looking at Newcastle's next couple of fixtures, they're quite nice. Again, I mentioned Arsenal, their next three are nice. Anyone that you can really think that's worth a shout?
Well, to be honest with you, at the moment, not really. Like Indy said, everyone thinks they've got to be this manager coach where they're making all these changes that are just affecting us. I know they're trying to win games and do what they do, but FPL, you're having people come off at the 58th minute that never used to come off at the 90th minute.
It's a killer, isn't it?
Like,
Killing
look at Watkins. He's coming off 59th minute. He's a £9 million striker coming off in the 59th minute, and Duran's doing his bit. So why change that formula?
Yeah. Jay's Jay's dropped in and said he's been looking at transfers, not sure what to do today. He had planned to put Van der Ven in. I wouldn't put any Tottenham defenders in, mate. We can see goals for fun. You've probably done you a favour that he is injured. He's got 3 transfers currently. But he had Palmer as captain last game week, and his current team is this: Blecken, Aitnori, Colwell, Rogers, Son, Palmer, and Buemo, Larson, Cunha, Pedro. See, that's a strong team.
Yeah.
Even his bench is pretty strong.
Son's a decent differential because, like I say, we've all got Saka. 0.2 million less. He's got Son who gets involved just as much.
But the problem with Son this season is coming off early every single week. You know, he is coming off early. But I personally, I wouldn't change much there. You know, I'd probably roll again.
I don't like the idea of having Larson and Cunha.
Yeah.
Apparently you're boring, Dave.
What's that?
Apparently you're boring.
Dave's so boring. Cheers, Cal. Love you, Cal. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, so Cal, jump on, mate. If you're free, I'll ping you the link. You can come tell us how not boring you are for a minute. But no, look, honestly, I wouldn't change too much there. Obviously, Hitney, you mentioned that you wouldn't have Larson and Cunha. Why wouldn't you?
One, I don't think Wolves score enough goals. So to have both from the same team just seems a little bit odd because only one will score the points. Unless there's another Larson or there's another Cunha that I don't know about. I'm presuming they're both the Wolves boys. Look, Cunha takes the pens. Larson's a main strike.
It's Henrik Larsson. He's come back.
But the position is that, look, if you're going to have 2 of the same team, I'd be really inclined to go for somebody that's probably a little bit more prolific.
Okay.
So that would be my position. I mean, for the kind of money Strand Larson is, you could probably get an Evan Nilsson at Bournemouth. They seem to be playing really well at the moment. You could probably go for a Liam Delap. You could probably go for a Raul Jimenez, who just scored against Arsenal, so it's likely to have a good run in the Fulham team. And there's not much difference in money. I think Cunha is the one I would go for on the basis that he takes penalties.
Yeah, so he's also said, I don't know if you just see it, but Jay said he's looking at getting Solanke and getting rid of Larson, who's played less minutes, and maybe Pedro. So that's what I mean. But the problem you've got with Brighton is they've got Danny Welbeck, João Pedro. You know, they got options available up front.
Yeah.
Ferguson, I think, came in last week. So I personally try and steer clear of those Brighton forwards because you don't know 1 week who's going to play week. If you're going to look at any, Solanke's not a bad option because Tottenham do get goals. It's just that he doesn't get that many of them. You know, but he does create chances as well. But if you're going to get rid of Larson, Bug, who would you bring in out of the players available?
I would probably, Solanke ain't a bad shout. However, I don't think he has enough shots. I think he gets the odd goal here and there. I know we had the game the other day, we got 2 and a couple of assists. But it's Tottenham. It is the most Spursy thing that happened.
You prick.
It is. Mate, if you played Man City every week, you'll be top of the league. But you played people like Ipswich, you'll be fucking where you are now.
Yeah, mate. It's a struggle. It's being a Tottenham fan is very, very hard pretty much all the time.
If money wasn't an option, I'd go for Isaac personally.
Yeah.
But I do like Solanke as well. I agree. But I think Tottenham are so up and down. Yes, they're going to be in kind of big score games. And they're always going to be a threat. And arguably, he's the only striker there, so he has to effectively play. But Isaac probably is in a more oiled team, let's say.
Yeah, more drilled.
Just go for a penalty taker. This seems to be obviously Far brings up so many more penalties. You need a penalty taker.
Who's Newcastle's penalty taker?
Isaac.
It is Isaac. Yeah, it is Isaac.
But last time it was Gordon because obviously Isaac was injured. But
what about Man United, Hind? Because
shit. What do we think of shit? Man United.
Well, obviously you got a new manager now. You're not looking too bad, but Bruno's obviously performing, doing quite well, picking up points at the moment. Are you looking at any United players to?
No. Ruben Amorim is clearly told the team that they're not fit, and he gives them probably about 55 minutes each per game, which means that they don't even get you clean sheets. Hence, Mazraoui has got me 1 in the last couple of weeks. That game against Everton coming off at 55 minutes was a killer. But yeah, that was tough to take. But yeah, I mean, look, it's hard. Bruno, I do like, but because he's playing in a midfield too, he's too withdrawn. So unless he gets access to a penalty or free kicks, it's generally going to be assists because he's not actually taking many shots.
Yeah. It's a difficult one because obviously you was expecting some massive new manager bounce. It hasn't really happened. But you look at some of the players he plays and where he plays them. Like, I mean, who did he play wing back on his first game? It's all been a little bit bizarre playing players in weird
So
positions.
Ahmad is playing on one side, and we've had Mazraoui on one side for one game. Then he reverted back to the back three, and Dallo is playing on the other side. He's not had Garnacho play there, but the 3-4-3 doesn't. Unfortunately, I don't think the players that we've got suit the system, which is
And that's
fine.
not going to change.
To be honest, the system is what his system is, and it brings to it. Obviously, he's got to be comfortable with the team that he's playing. But at the moment, he's not even confident to play them for more than 60 minutes. So that gives you an idea of how all suited the players are to the system.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because Amorim, I think, is a very, very good manager, but I just feel like he's going to need that time to really change the squad around. And Man United haven't really been patient with many managers of late. You know, they're chopping and changing quite freely. Obviously, they gave Ten Hag a little bit more time, but that was always going to be a dead end. What they should have done was given Amorim the money that Ten Hag spent in the summer to change what he wants. Because obviously, January transfer window, you can't change much in January. Everyone knows that. There's not really too much you can do to let it have a huge impact on your team. So I don't know. I think United are going to struggle for the rest of the season. Or not struggle, but I feel like you're kind of finish 8th, 9th, maybe 7th. And then you'll see the real Man United and Amorim impact next season once he's got the players that he wants to get in.
Yeah, well, I would much rather us finish 10th, 12th and just stay out of it for a couple of years, a bit like Chelsea, and then you're actually able to get rid of the guff, whether you march them out of the door and make them train with the reserves or the women or whatever, that would work. You know, the likes of a Sterling out the door and the rest of them all going to Saudi probably helped them a little bit, and it's allowed those younger players to probably become the more senior professionals in the dressing room and take on a little bit more kind of trust from the manager, and I think that as a result has led them to kind of grow up a bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm going to come to you in a minute, Bug, but firstly, Cal, you boring bastard. See, you grown some hair since you last on chat. So how you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, mate. Just off the back of another 2-hour podcast. So I thought I'd come and show you how a professional podcaster does it, mate, instead of your rookie antics as you always do.
It's good to see you, mate. I know you don't really play FPL, but you kind of come at the right time because we're talking Premier League a little bit now. And obviously, I know your last show is a Premier League show. But before I come onto that, Bug, I want to come to you about Chelsea because, like, I'm very surprised by Chelsea this season. Fuck off. I'm very surprised by Chelsea this season. I didn't think that they would be anywhere near top 4. But you tend to be flying. What's going on?
I did say to you 4th or 5th at the beginning of podcast 1, didn't I? But I didn't expect us to be going forward as much. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I even said I thought Nkunku was going to be our main man, and he doesn't even get into the team half the time. Jackson's brought it up. The only problem we've got is we're like when Blackpool were in the Premier League, where they were winning games 4-3. Like, we're not keeping clean sheets. We're going to hit a blip where we're not scoring goals and we're going to leak too many. But I'm happy that we finally be a top 6, traditional top 6 team.
Just out of interest, other than Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson, obviously Nkunku's starting to play a little bit more getting a bit more game time. Is there anyone in Chelsea that you think could be an option for FPL players who are looking to get, like I said, a differential win? Because Madueke's tend to kind of stepped out a little bit. I think Maresca came out and said he's not fit enough or he doesn't try enough. But
I mean, like I said at the beginning, I think it was like the first week he scored and got an assist. Enzo. Yeah. I said to you boys, he's going to be a different player. He's left his misses. He's got more energy. Now look at him. Rather than ploughing away all night, he's now sleeping.
Yeah.
Getting good.
Women weaken legs. Clever lad said that.
I said something similar.
Need to say that to Dave. Dave, you need to do it. That's why you won't look so fucking knackered, mate. Being a housewife don't help you, does it?
No, it's hard work, mate. It is hard work. But Chelsea are interesting because they kind of like Tottenham, but they're just better with a bigger squad, a better squad. In the fact that they can't keep a clean sheet for Toffee. They score a lot of goals.
Did you just say that Chelsea are like Tottenham? Chelsea win fucking titles and shit. Tottenham do fuck all. What are you on about?
Like I said the other day, and I made it pretty clear. I said on our podcast, I said Tottenham will always be the bridesmaid because we never want to pay for our own wedding, and so that'll be Tottenham forever, mate.
What doesn't help with Chelsea? Chelsea can field 3 squads plus 2 under-21 lineups plus 4 under-18s lineups and then an international squad to go with it as well. So I mean, fucking, that's what money gets you, ain't it?
I think Bug's about to speak, but he's froze.
He looks like he's going to go for a shit.
I think Callum did some Megamind kind of shit on him.
Yeah, it's that ball dead, isn't it? Oh, look, he got scared and dropped away.
I've killed him.
No. I mean, you can say all this about players and that, but no one ever takes in Tottenham's youth academy buys. No one takes in Arsenal's youth academy buys. We bought 10 players that you go, oh, we've bought 40 players. No, we've recruited youth. Yeah,
but you're the only club that I've known that have had to build a separate training ground for the players you don't want.
I mean, it's a joke, ain't it? It's a joke, not facts. So if you want to try and insult, you go with facts, don't you?
That is a fact. You literally built tents for these players that you don't want, that they have to go and get changed in.
Where people would try to get rid of, we make it as hard as possible for them.
So they, basically just train on their own. But look, I think Maresca's done really good things at Chelsea, and I hate saying that, but he looks like a really good pinch from Leicester. Obviously, with the money and the resources Chelsea have behind them, I generally think next few seasons they could be a worry for a lot of Premier League teams. But Cal, what's your kind of thoughts on the Premier League? Obviously, I know I don't want to talk Tottenham, but how it's gone so far this season? Anybody surprised you?
Chelsea were definitely the surprise package. I think Bug's completely right. They are playing really well, and the players that are doing well in FPL are sort of reflecting that on the pitch. I mean, the only thing I would say from an FPL-wise point of view, you probably wouldn't pick Robert Sanchez, would you, Bug, in your team, to say the least, as sort of a goalkeeper. But there's so many susceptible ones with that. I mean, City are just dropping out. Like, they're dropping like flies at the moment. It's ridiculous how they've fallen off. But you're probably saying if you want a team, couple of players to sort of back to go and get you some points in FPL, you probably go Gibbs White, maybe Jamie Vardy, potentially as an option for a front man, maybe Chris Woods, different people like that. And there have been some surprise packages, sort of Brighton, Bournemouth are all sort of pushing the top sort of 6 sort of traditionalist view now and all that, and even Brentford players I think are a really good sort of go-to for it. I mean, coming off the back of that 4-2 win against Newcastle ain't got a fucking clue at the moment compared to some of the other clubs as well, to be honest. So there's definitely some surprise packages and all that, but I kind of feel sorry for some of the bottom clubs as well when you look at Cunha playing so well at Wolves and all that. I mean, what has he got? 7 goals, 3 or 4 assists and all that for it. He's one of the top 8 players in the Premier League when it comes to goal scoring, the lap as well at Ipswich. So I mean, if you was to go and sort of just look at an overall Premier League view to it, if some of the top clubs needed some brilliant players to go and get, you'd hands down say them 2 and a couple of others that are sort of floating around the bottom end of it. LaCroix, Palace as well with Gahey, they're sort of go-to options, aren't they? That if top clubs need backup options for it, I think you could do a lot worse, let's put it that way, than buying foreign players and all that. They're outside the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, you do make a good point, and that's kind of interesting because obviously with January coming up, there could be a lot of changing. Obviously, players will be worried about relegation, wage bills, and things like that. So players could start to be moving around the league as such. But the only problem with the Premier League is you get that tax. You get the Premier League tax with the players, English players as well, like Gibbs White. To buy Gibbs White, you've got to spend 60 million. For example, that's going to be a minimum for someone like Forest. And at the moment, Forest are top 6. Is he really going to leave Forest? So it is an interesting one, but I'm quite interested to see whether Ange even makes January to make transfers. Rumours today that he had a meeting with Longa, whoever his name is, Langa. I don't think he exists, mate. I've never seen the guy.
I think I've seen one or two interviews. That's about it. And I mean, obviously, Angeli's press conference tonight, and I mean, we're fielding Archie Gray at centre back tomorrow night alongside Dragusin for the
Oh,
Rangers game and all that as well. And Van der Ven's redone his injury. Romero's out, so we're looking at 3 weeks Van der Ven, 6 weeks Romero. Brennan Johnson's an injury doubt as well, so it looks like our under 21s will be fitting the bench and all that. Let's put it that way, at least for
it's a shame
tomorrow,
we're
maybe
not
even the game
Chelsea with
against Saints.
with 20 players in reserve that they can just go and pluck from their second training second training ground. Indy, just coming to you, mate. What's kind of your expectations? I just want to get, obviously now we're near Christmas, in terms of Premier League predictions. Who do you think is going to be the top four? Who do you think is going to make it? Do you think it's going to be as it is at the moment?
I would go with winning it Liverpool, because I just think that they look the most solid unit. I think defensively they're far and away the best team there, and I think that that's what will see them through it. The only thing that could harm them is an injury to, say, a Van Dijk,
Yeah.
which could really put them under a bit of pressure. But I really like their midfield. Gravenberch has looked excellent this season,
Yeah.
and he wasn't looking anywhere like that level last year. So that's a big difference. I'd probably say second will probably be Arsenal, because I can see that City lost again today or are losing again today.
Are they?
They seem struggling. Yeah, they are playing Juve away, so
I think they're losing
it's
to
not.
Juventus.
Yeah, they were 2-0 down last I saw. So I think
Yeah.
Chelsea will probably get fourth, and I think City will come third. And I think that those top four will be miles ahead of everybody else. I think Tottenham will probably be the best of the rest, just because I think they've got the better squad. And then I think sixth might be a surprise with like a Villa getting in there. I know they were fourth last year, but everybody expects after you're in the Champions League to drop off considerably. I think that they've still got pretty decent squad size as well. I think Man United will sort themselves out, and I think a few teams will drop off. The likes of Forest, Brentford will drop down because the squad size just isn't there. But I'm not happy with United, and I don't think we're very good. But in real terms, 3 or 4 wins probably gets you from 12th to 4th or 5th now.
What do you think it is with City? I know you mentioned obviously City and their drop off. Do you think it's kind of a natural thing after dominating for so many seasons that it was going to happen?
I think there's an amalgamation of things. I think the court case going on with 115 charges, I think that's a big part of it. I think Rodri being injured is a big part of it. De Bruyne being injured is a big part of it. Foden's looked poor. I think in terms of defensively, they've got injuries all over there. But also, I think they've got one of the eldest squads. Somebody said that
Yeah.
they've got the 17th eldest squad in the league. And so when you are to your bare bones and the amount of games that teams are playing now, I think it shows. I think if unless you're firing on all cylinders, which they're not, they're just too easy to play against. 2 passes through midfield. It's a bit like what Man United were under Ten Hag. You can really get at them if you just play quickly.
Yeah. Well, we saw that with Tottenham, didn't we? That was kind of how Tottenham had so much success. But it was the quick transitions. I think Rodri is a huge miss. But one of the things that I think the biggest mistake they made was letting Alvarez go. I just think he gives them a different dimension up front. At the moment, all they've got is Erling Haaland. And if he's not producing, which, as we can see in FPL at the moment, he hasn't been for the last few weeks, they don't have another option. They've got no one else to put in.
Yeah, and the thing is, he could also play as a number 10.
Yeah.
So he was a good understudy to like a Kevin De Bruyne. But then where De Bruyne's not been there, and the thing is, everybody thinks that Foden can play as a number 10. I actually don't think he's got the ability to play the passes. He's not actually as good as people make out. This is the issue. He's just been in a really good team and looks far better than he actually is. But there's so many players that are maybe not that great players that have played in that sort of team that look better than what they are. Because if you look at a Bernardo Silva, technically he's excellent, but if you took him out of that City team and that style of play, and dropped him in, say, Man United's team, I don't think he'd be as effective. And the same at Tottenham, the same everywhere else. I think there's a lot of players that are only City-type players.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously the players they bought in, you got. I like the look of him. What's his name? Silvino or what?
Savinho, yeah.
Silvino. Like he looks good, but no goals, no assists since in like 17, 18 appearances at Man City. That isn't good enough. So, Bud, do you think it's just a natural drop off that City will come back? Do you think they're going to go on a winning run now? De Bruyne is obviously back as well.
I'm going to say yeah, because it happens to Chelsea every couple of years. We'll win a league, we'll play shit for 2 seasons, then come back stronger. Like Hindy says, everyone's getting older. You look at when Timo Werner went past Kyle Walker, he made him look old. He made him look, and that's what's happening all over the pitch.
And Timo Werner making anyone look shit is a rare thing. Let's put it that way.
You leave Timo alone.
Oh yeah, Cal. As you don't know, Bug is a huge Timo Werner lover. He's a big fan. So
he would have had the golden boot if VAR weren't a thing.
But that doesn't that tells you all you need to know. Like he's always offside.
No. It's like a Rizzler paper. Whereas 2-3 years ago, everyone would go, "Oh well, Lino should have done better." Rooney had seasons where he was scoring 30 goals and was just offside, and he just unlucky VAR came in. Otherwise, he would have got the golden boot that year.
You know what? He would be able to get a golden boot if he could actually finish, but he can't. He can't even finish his fucking dinner.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I don't know, but
I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one thing though. If you looked at like just say Walker for example, there was him against Palace at the weekend. I mean, I've just been on with a Palace fan who was at the game, and he said that there was a ball that he played that a couple of years ago would have been pinpoint straight over the top. You'd pick it up and it'd be scored. Literally, Walker apparently kicked it, sliced it, and it hit someone in the face in the crowd and all that. That's how dramatic his decline has been. I think for the last 2 years, he's lost probably 4 yards of pace. He's just not the player that he was, and I don't think playing as a centre back either works for him. But then when you've got someone as young as Lewis trying to step in to take the mantle as a right back as well, but being played then at CDM, Pep loves his utility players, doesn't he? He loves players who can play all over the pitch, and I think that creates blurred lines. They don't know what position they're going to be playing in the games and all that. Everyone just looks confused. It's slow, it's passive passing, and it shows how much Rodri was like an anchor point for them, that getting from defence into central midfield to then be able to pass the ball out to the right or ping them long balls and all that. But it's such a bad
weird.
drop-off.
I think he's made a lot of mistakes in the transfer market. I really do. Like João Cancelo, for example. You know what I mean? Like letting him go. He was unbelievable for City. He was one of my first picks for FPL. And you look at last season, obviously letting Alvarez go. He has made some mistakes. Cole Palmer is another one. Obviously letting him go to Chelsea. It's a bit of a weird one. In, you look like you want to say something, mate. Go on.
Do you know what I'll say is that that Kyle Walker is now looking like Tottenham Kyle Walker. Just fucking ropey.
Oh, fuck off.
But it's true.
Right, you guys fucking have Wan.
No.
You had Wan-Bissaka for fucking years. He's dog shit. He's fucking crap.
Kyle Walker is arguably the best right back now in the Premier League ever seen, right? In terms of longevity and how good he is as a cut down right winger. But for that period when he was at Tottenham, there was always this issue with defensively he was very frail and he was always out of position, a bit like a Wan-Bissaka, but they had the pace to get back in. The difference was that he then at City didn't have to do the defending, and there was players around him that didn't let him get exposed. If those players aren't there now he's back to getting exposed.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. There was always that thing with Kyle Walker when he was at Tottenham, where he was brilliant, but you still kind of went, you know what I mean? Like, is he gonna make an error here? But then again, I make that statement to every Tottenham player. I'm always like, they're probably gonna make a mistake. So that's just Tottenham. But I think City is an interesting one. I'd be interested to find out whether they're going to do anything in January, because I feel like they need to. I don't even know whether they can with these charges. That's the thing. It's like, can they do anything? Can they buy anyone?
Well, they've made the decision, haven't they, on it?
Yeah.
Well, I
Until
think
that
they've
decision's
apparently
made,
made
they
the
can do what they
verdict.
want.
They've made the verdict.
Oh, have they?
Apparently they've made it, but they haven't released it yet. It's being put through court papers to allow them to appeal it if they want to first.
I,
Apparently they reconciled the account Monday on it.
I wonder what the punishment's going to be, because surely it's got to be points.
The thing
Yes.
is, a team like Man City, if you just deduct points, like say for instance you deducted 30 points, it's not going to affect them. You need to deduct them every season for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're not always going to be at the top of the table. They're not always going to be winning it. They've got to actually fight for it. That's the sort of thing that affect them.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. But anyway, as we know at the moment, stay away from City assets and FPL because they're doing fuck all. You know, that's kind of what we're learning at the moment. You know, and City assets are always the go-to. But listen, I'm going to wrap it up. I don't really think there's much more that we need to say. Jay said, which player to take out, Pedro or Larson? I would take out Larson. I'll keep João Pedro, and look to upgrade Larson if you can to an Isak. I think Hindi made the right call there. But Cal, mate, I really appreciate you jumping on. Let us know where we can find you, quick, mate.
No, as always, cheers, mate, and good to see you, boys. So it's Callum Stubbs 97 on Twitter, and obviously, I don't think we're doing a show this weekend, Dave, are we? Because the game's on at 7:00. So, well, good to know that you know. That's all.
I have no idea, mate. I have no idea.
Callum, were you born in 97?
Yeah.
You look like you've had a tough life, mate.
So do you, mate. You look like you sit on the sofa with fucking takeaway. So, I mean, I don't know what you're on about.
He knows him to a T. He knows him to a T.
Look, we couldn't get Russ on tonight, so we got Russ's lookalike to pop on for a little while. Another shiny head to come on and have a look. So I appreciate you coming on, fake Russ. It's been good. Indy, obviously, I'm glad. Hopefully, you're going to be back here next week. But if people want to find you on Twitter, where can they see you?
So it's H17NDD, which also happens to be my number plate, but please do not copy that. I do not want any more points. Thank you.
Yeah, unless they're FPL points, you need a lot of them, mate. You need a lot of them. But
Is that the logging? Is that the login code for your Just Eat and Deliveroo as well, mate?
Don't say too much. Indy's got mates in Turkey. You better sort your hair out, Cal.
Oh, fucking hell. They could do my tooth as well if they want, mate.
Bug, where can we find you, mate? You got rid of all them porn bots yet?
No, I've just subscribed to them all instead.
So,
Oh, dear.
Like, you shouldn't be. You got a missus at home. Well, that's the only reason it should be raw, mate.
She's downstairs, so I can say out loud, I'm raw and subscribed.
At Bug CFC, let's get him some actual followers. I'm sure Cal will go follow you both because he's good like that. But you can find me at Park Lane Pod Dave. Hopefully back every Wednesday now at 9 o'clock, but also on Sundays, show at 7 p.m. Cal also does a show on a Wednesday evening Premier League show on Scarfy Spurs Talk. I think you start at 8, don't you, Cal? Is that right?
7:30, 7:45, mate.
7:30. So make sure you jump on that as well. But yeah, other than that, let's hope to next week. Big point scoring, and yeah, we'll kind of see how we get on. I haven't done the score predictor because I couldn't be bothered. Obviously, the other two aren't on, so okay. Well, Bug's already left. He's had enough. He's sacked off already. Cheers, boys. I'll see you soon.
He's gone off for a wank. He's gone off to have a wank. Yeah. He's all right.
Yeah, but don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow these boys on Twitter. And we'll see you all soon.
See you later.